Hi, my name is Peggy.
And my name is Caitlin.
We are from the ITS track, and our tutor is called the Stockflow tutor. So our tutor aims to help people solve the stock flow question. So what is a stock flow question? Imagine there is a bathtub with water flowing into it and water flowing out of it at different rates. We want to understand how the stock level in the bathtub will change based on the two flow rates. We want people to be able to understand how a stock will change given a graph showing the inflow and outflow rates in a stock flow question. Um, why is this important? Accumulation is a fundamental process in dynamic systems, and most tasks in our daily life are dynamic. For example, you may want to manage your bank account by controlling your deposit and cost, or maintaining your weight by controlling your intake and calories burned every day. Previous research has suggested that this is an area of need since even highly educated people with intensive technical training tend to show stock flow failures by associating the pattern of one flow with the stock level. We observed from our Think Aloud test that both of our participants think the moments of maximum stock is the moment when we have the maximum net inflow. And the moment of minimum stock is when we have maximum net outflow, which is exactly what researchers in this field found from their study. Thus, our tutor's main goal is to help people overcome the difficulty in solving the two hardest problems in stock and flow question.
So based on the article we read from Cronin, Gonzalez, and Sturman, we pulled their sample problems from the test of student understanding of stock flow. We redesigned this problem as a tutor, including scaffolding to help students understand how to read and interpret the problem. The biggest changes we made were that we excluded the option of can't be determined, as well as adding a few additional questions. The two questions at the beginning were used to focus student attention on graph features, whereas the four additional questions, we also had four additional questions that were activated at the point where most students had trouble, which was on question 3. If the students answered this correctly, they would not have to do the additional questions as they would remain hidden. So when we were building this tutor, we decided to have our questions appear one at a time at the suggestion of our mentor. This reduces cognitive load in that there's less visual input. It also helps students focus on what each question is asking. A limitation of this is that students must answer the questions in a linear fashion and they're unable to go back and review their own work. They must also get the correct answer before they're even allowed to see the next problems, which is different from when this test would be distributed on paper. Well, building this in the behavior graph, we basically had to hide each link at the beginning by setting the value to false. And then we had to manually unhide them when we wanted them to be unhidden, such as when a student answered a question correctly or incorrectly. This took up a lot of our time and it was very tedious. It also added a layer of complexity to our tutor. In the literature, we saw that there was a number of situations that students had trouble understanding the meaning of the graph and how it related to the overall concept of stock. We also got to see this in a number of tests from our Think Alouds with partners, as well as testing our family members at home. So, using these misconceptions, we wrote questions to address what the students needed to know in order to answer questions 3 and 4. These CTET tools are not exactly user friendly, but they do have a pretty detailed wiki. So, with a little bit of help from our mentor, as well as a little bit of tinkering, we were able to get them pretty much what we wanted them to do. One of the big stumbling blocks for me personally was when I was trying to get those hidden questions to appear when students had an incorrect answer. And after trying a few different things, it turned out that I had to go into my graph and change it to not equal to. And this really, um, it took a while to figure out. Of course, in order to make our tutor an intelligent tutor, we had to add some optional hints that students could access through the hint button. And you can see that these hints um, increased in helpfulness as we went on. And finally, in order to give individualized feedback, we wrote detailed error messages to help guide students to the correct answers. We think that these would be especially helpful through scaffolded questions, which is why we used a combo box to limit student responses. You can see right here that there were also all of this information is visible when you put your cursor over each step.
So here are some things we can do to improve on our tutor. So the Think Aloud test had helped us in finding our focus when designing the tool. If we have more time, it would be great if we can do Think Aloud again to test on our tutor and see how it helps people learn. Also, it would be helpful to add the progress bar and connect our tutor with data shop. We want to collect more data from our learners' behaviors and see how we can make improvements on the tool design.
A couple of personal reflections. Personally, I don't think that we should have chosen this problem because, based on the literature, it is hard for students to solve. I think that if we did a better job breaking those knowledge components down and tracking them, we could identify those places of needs, but we basically did not have time to do so. So the tutor as it is now might be helpful, but based on the literature, it probably still isn't as helpful as we would want it to be. And hopefully in the future, if we connect it to that data shop, then it might be helpful. Um, so that was our presentation. Thank you very much for listening. And if you are watching this live, then let's do a demo.